Welcome back to the Done Deal show. A massive bid is expected for Alexander Isak, a new British transfer record in the offing. We know Isak has been a priority for Arsenal, but according to Ben Jacobs, Liverpool are looking to make a massive move for Newcastle's best striker since Alan Shearer, one of the best current strikers in the world. We're looking at a big update in relation to Viktor Gyökeres from Fabrizio Romano as well. Plus, we're taking a look at Martínez to Manchester United. Is this heating up? Some differing opinions on this, but the player open and committed to joining Manchester United. Hit the like button for us. Make sure you are subscribing. Let's do this. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching around the world. Get this video shared in your group chats. Put this out there now. We've already seen a fantastic start to this summer window. Wirtz, Cherky, Cunha deals, Zubimendi on the way. Big talk around number 9s. Gyokeres deal on the way in. Frimpong and much Delap to Chelsea. So many big deals have already happened, and there are even more on the horizon. This one, though, absolutely massive when it comes to Liverpool and their pursuit of Alexander Isak. Let's take a listen to what Ben Jacobs has had to say.
It's going to be a really difficult deal to pull off. And if they are to succeed, the likelihood is Liverpool will have to smash the money record that they've just put down for Florian Wirtz, 100 million plus 16 million in add-ons, which could become a British transfer record. Liverpool are first focusing on Darwin Núñez's future, whilst doing outreach to various striker targets. Núñez is expected to leave for 70 million euros or more. Napoli, Atletico Madrid and Saudi clubs have him on their radar, including Al Hilal. And that 70 million euros or more is going to help Liverpool be very aggressive in the market for a number 9. And Isak remains, like with Arsenal, to the dream target. But Liverpool feel there could be a window of opportunity in the coming weeks, even though we have to respect Newcastle and their position is still not for sale. Liverpool's perspective is it might be worth trying nonetheless. And what I'm told they're prepared to do, as they did with Wirtz, is offer Newcastle United a guaranteed £100 million and then a package overall that may even surpass the 116 million that Liverpool have agreed with Leverkusen for Wirtz. Naturally, Liverpool know that this is a difficult deal to pull off. Newcastle insiders insist that with UCL football, they hold all the cards. Isak is well paid and contracted, and maybe an offer only of over 150 million pounds, even closer to 200 million, might change Newcastle's mind. But Liverpool may still try for Alexander Isak before moving on to another target, and the likes of Hugo Ekitike, Benjamin Sesko and João Pedro are also on Liverpool's list.
Massive update that. It's huge. And I'll tell you why. Because the story is starting to build. The momentum is starting to be created in relation to this deal. It was seen by many as kind of dead in the water. There was this view, there was this opinion that because of the money being spent on Wirtz, that would be it for Liverpool. But the last 3 or 4 days, you've just seen this coming in the Liverpool chat rooms, the Liverpool groups, the Liverpool aggregators, Liverpool fans starting to talk about a confidence of signing Isak. Now, the journalists are absolutely right to say there needs to be a respect given towards Newcastle that do not want to sell him. But I stand by what I have said consistently now on the Isak deal for the past 4 to 5 months. It's not about whether Newcastle want to sell him or not. It's firstly about whether the player's head can be turned. And if Isak is convinced to join Liverpool, or any other club, then it becomes a different kettle of fish, a different scenario, and a different ball game for them in terms of keeping Isak. And that isn't because they're not a big club. It isn't because they're not attractive. There's no banter attached. It's just most clubs that are well run, and that is Newcastle, do not like to keep players in their squad who have a desire to leave. So that's first of all. Then it's about whether or not Liverpool are prepared to spend the money that's required. And this is going to cost a lot of money. You're talking a guarantee of 100 million, and then add-ons may be put into this. So if Liverpool are prepared, if Liverpool are willing, if Liverpool are financially capable, which I believe they are, they spent nothing last year. Even £150 million lump sum this year only brings their 2-year spending, two summer spendings under slot, to a total of about 350 million, including all the add-ons. You divide that over 2 years, it is very, very doable indeed. That being said, those are the two hurdles. And if they offer Newcastle enough money, it will happen. And you actually read a lot of the Newcastle stories that have been put out there. It's all, well, Newcastle, if Newcastle would sell, it has to be for a record fee. Now, when the actual negotiations start, and if the players' heads already turned, remember, Liverpool won't even attempt to talk to Newcastle until Isak has been convinced to join them. This is doable. This deal is on. This deal can certainly happen. And what a player this would be for Liverpool. I can't sit there and bullshit. I can't sit there and lie. I can't sit there and play it down in any way, in any shape, or in any form. If Liverpool pull this off, the season becomes a travesty if they don't retain the league title. It becomes a disaster if they don't progress to the latter stages of the Champions League. You are probably talking about disappointment if it isn't a multiple trophy winning season. And Liverpool haven't won a league title and another trophy since I was about 1 or 2 years old, for the better part of 40 years. With Wirtz, Frimpong, Gyökeres will get done. He's completely committed to Liverpool. His head's not going to be turned. If they are able to add Alexander Isak to the mix as well, this is a different kettle of fish. This is a different scenario. This is an absolutely different level of signing. You cannot get away from this in any way, in any shape, or in any form. This is gargantuan. Gargantuan. It truly, truly is. And sorry, someone just sent me through something. Cool. I'll check out the other news in a minute, guys, about your clubs. I just want to break this deal down. This is massive. And it does appear that there is a possibility that Liverpool break the British transfer record twice in one summer. And I, for one, are not going to banter them. I, for one, am not going to laugh at them. I'm not one going to say, oh, you know, Klopp said you don't spend. Now you've broken these 2 records. I'm just going to say, well done, you. I hate Liverpool as a Man United fan, but Liverpool Football Club are a beacon of the game. Liverpool Football Club are, calling them a big club is an understatement. They're gargantuan. There's only a handful of clubs you could argue are bigger, but they are in that realm. They are there with your Madrids, your Barças, your Bayerns, your Man United, your AC Milans. And you're talking trophies, Champions Leagues, size of fan base, global reach, revenues, whatever it may be. They are up there. Some will say they're the biggest. But the point is they're in that category. And they're yielding that well-deserved, hard worked for axe. And as a Man United fan, I've just had this gut feeling the last few days that this news would start to trickle out. Now, as I've already said, I agree with the journalist. There has to be a respect paid here to Newcastle that are not going to want this deal to happen. Newcastle are going to fight for the player to stay. Of course they are. Why would they not? Newcastle fans won't like this news. They'll push back against it. They'll say it's fake. They'll say no chance, but there is a chance. There is an absolute chance that this deal happens. And I am convinced of it. And it's been a few times so far this summer with Ben Jacobs. The Mbermo news is one of them. Zubimendi was another. There's another player now, and we had him on the show. Delap, another, where he's just had some of these stories in the fledgling stages, ever before it kind of became more mainstream and ahead of the curve. I remember him talking about the Brian Mbermo deal especially, and he was talking about how don't rule it out. The player, I think, might be interested in this project. Keep an eye out for it. It was kind of getting laughed at. I remember he spoke about it on our show, and it was getting laughed at, and there was a lot of sniggering, and it turned out to be true. So again, I'm not claiming 100% this is going to happen or 100% I believe it will, but there seems to be a lot of credibility in this, especially with the last 2 to 3 days, the noise, the excitement, and everything else coming from Liverpool fans all around the world. You've seen, and when I say all around the world, the aggregators, the YouTubers, the TikTokers, the online fan base, and in their droves, Liverpool fans are starting to truly believe that this can happen. And this here from Matty, he super chatted in saying if he wants to come to us, then Newcastle would be better off selling him. They get a massive fee, and they could use the transfer to transform their starting 11. Matty, I agree with you. If the player wants to go, and this is the thing, some think this will be a long drawn out saga. I don't think it will be if the player's mind is changed. Now, this is where, 1 second, because I want to timestamp your super chat. Thank you. The way I look at it is this, and I stand on this. Newcastle are very well run. Piff, who are their owners, want to make Newcastle the biggest and the best team in the world. They also run an amazing investment fund, right? It's absolutely amazing. They will not want any loose weight. They will not want any bloatedness. They will not want anybody that is not swimming in the same direction as them, going against the grain. So if Alexander Isak, and I think Liverpool, when you listen to what Jacob says, once they get close to a resolution, they're already sounding out players. When they get closer to that resolution with Darwin, I think they're going to hit the go button on the charm offensive. They will make a big play for Isak. And if he shows genuine willing and a desire to leave, I think Newcastle won't drag this out for the whole summer. I think Newcastle will look at this and go, do you know what? We could drag it out for the whole summer, maybe get an extra 10 million, an extra 15 million. But we may miss out on 2 or 3 targets that can improve our squad, not only in the number 9 role, but right across the team. I think Newcastle were too sensible, too well run, and too ambitious to allow this to drag on for 2 months, to allow this to become an absolute saga. I think Liverpool will look to move with precision, with speed, with accuracy. It will be a surgical move, but not open heart surgery for 15 hours. This will be quick keyhole surgery, bish, bash, bosh. They'll look to get this over the line. Of course, the legalities and going through the paperworks and the sponsor deals and all of that could take a couple of weeks. But in terms of the player wants to come, the clubs are really close, etc., etc., I don't think it will be a very difficult deal if, and this is where Newcastle fans, please don't get angry, please don't lose your minds, please don't overreact. If the player fully agrees to leave and has had his head turned. If, for instance, Isak is like, look, guys, I'd love to join, but I'm very happy to stay here. I love this city and club. You're going to have to do the deal with Newcastle. I think that's when Liverpool move on, because that is when they won't get the better of Newcastle in negotiations, because if the player is still dedicated, if the club agrees to sell, I'll come and play really hard for you, Liverpool. Thank you for the offer, but I really love being here. If that's his response, then I think it's you've got more chance getting blood from the proverbial stone. So listen, this is going to be one to watch now. I'm very excited about it, and I agree with this super chat wholeheartedly. Terry Tibbs says, no way we make a move for him if we wouldn't have had positive feedback talking to his camp. Journos would shut it down. Impossible. Deal number one has deal no one has at all. And this is the thing, Terry. this is why when people go, it won't happen, they may end up being right. So someone in the chat will go, no chance. And then if it doesn't happen for one reason or another, they'll say, see, I was right. No, you're wrong, because there is a decent chance that this happens. Because we have to go back and look at those stories, Terry, from maybe 2 months ago now. Do you remember those stories that came out? And it was talking about Liverpool, and they've kind of agreed personal terms, or the personal terms will be no problem, and they've been reaching out to the players' camp. Between then until now, there's barely been a journalist that shut it down. Now, the Newcastle journalists have done as much as they can, but when you read the articles, it's very much the player loves it here, the player's committed, things like it won't be easy, it would take a ridiculous fee. What they haven't said at any point is this is nigh on impossible. And the reason they can't say that is because if the player's head is turned, well-run clubs sell those players. Look at City and the players that have left in Pep's time. And there's been some good players like Sane and he's very, very good. Torres, he wasn't amazing. But when they wanted to go, the club said, okay. If Rodri walks into the office tomorrow and says, I don't want to be here anymore, I need to go back to Spain, I just don't want to live in England, they'll find a solution. Maybe have to wait another year, but they'll allow him to go because they don't want a player at the club who isn't pulling in the same direction as them. So, Terry, I think you're absolutely right. This is, for me, and by the way, Newcastle fans will be like, stop trying to sell our players. Firstly, Newcastle are linked to players, and we speak about that, and you've got no problem with it. Secondly, I don't want this to happen. I'm a Manchester United fan. Him going to Liverpool is pain. I would much, if he's going to stay in England, Newcastle's the better place, in my opinion. And without being horrible, Newcastle are nowhere near they're probably not even my top 10 rivals. So I'd rather him stay with you than go to Liverpool, to Arsenal, to Chelsea, to City, to Leeds United, to Tottenham. All these teams I see as bigger rivals than yourselves. This isn't about me trying to do Newcastle over. I actually like the fact you've got money and you're growing as a team. I've always praised it. But yeah, I think you're right, Terry. Yahala, may the season surpass November. ATP 230 million is what Abraham says here. Yeah, Liverpool are going to spend big, and fair play to him. He's not leaving this season, lol. Nobody knows that. Absolutely nobody knows that for a certainty. They just don't. They just don't at all. K-Mac channel here says, one thing we need to look at too, Isak has been having a minor operation, so we could not sign him. Eddie Howe has said he cannot confirm anyone will stay next season. Of course he can't. And the reason why you won't hear anybody at Newcastle guarantee it is because there are no guarantees. This isn't, by the way, if Newcastle were at the peak and they just won the league, their income was the same as Man City's and close to Real Madrid's, and they were right now seen as one of the teams at the pinnacle, I think you could guarantee it. Terry, Newcastle are stupid for selling him. No, they're not, Jay. They're absolutely not if he wants to leave. And you've got to understand that basic premise of what's being said. Like earlier on today, I spoke twice today about, I think the opening fixture against Man United Arsenal is part of an agenda. I think it's, but people go, oh, you don't think it's fair? You're just talking nonsense. Well, you're not listening. It's not. I'm not saying it's an agenda to ruin our seasons. I'm not saying it's an agenda that means Arsenal have an excuse to not try and win the league, or Man United have an excuse as to why we can't be pushing back for European positions. No, I'm talking about it being a media agenda, and it creates great talking points in terms of the build-up, because both managers will be under massive pressure if they don't have a good start to the season. So I do believe there's been a little bit of doctoring going on, a little bit of, oh, let's throw this game there, let's throw that game there. I think those things happen a lot, and maybe I haven't noticed it in the last few years because my team hasn't been involved, but I certainly felt it this time round. But again, most of the arguments I've had thrown back to me today, I call them the amoeba arguments, dumb people arguments. You're throwing arguments back at me that I haven't said. Well, you saying Arsenal got an excuse not to win the league? Didn't say that. So back to the point I'm making to you here, Jay, they wouldn't be stupid for selling him, because successful, well-run clubs seldom keep players who don't want to be there. The same as most businesses. If you work somewhere where you've got, in my old job, you used to have to give, at the level I got to, you used to have to give at least 8 weeks, if not 12 weeks notice to leave your job. But 9 times out of 10, unless your role was critical for the business and they had to have you in, and there are a few roles in the financial industry like that, you would hand your notice in. And if they knew you were so looking forward to going, they wouldn't let you stay in the office. They put you on gardening leave until that point. And I loved it. I gave 3 months. I gave the 3 months notice, and they said I could go in 8. And I gave it in, and I was actually prepared to still work hard. And then I got brought into the MD's office, and it was all very amicable. They said, look, I spoke to my boss, and we think it's best that you kind of go now. I got to say goodbye to a few people, and we arranged some times to do leaving drinks, and I left. And I had 8 weeks doing nothing, getting paid. It was amazing. But that's because well-run organizations, well-run departments, what they didn't want, it was about, because I told them about my new job offer, and it was really good. What they don't want is you telling everybody that. It wasn't that I would have been unprofessional, but I go, yeah, look, I'm going to work for this firm, and this is what they're paying, and this is the bonuses, and this is the da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then other members of the team go, oh, bloody hell, I might start looking as well. Suddenly they can have a situation where multiple people are leaving, and it weakens their business. So they take you out of the environment quickly so that you almost can't infect it with like people doubting things or looking elsewhere. Now, it won't be exactly the same in football, because you don't job hunt in the same way in football as you do business, but the premise is the same. If a player doesn't want to be there, he might give a little bit less effort. If one is thinking of leaving, you might have a player that goes, hang on, look how upset and pissed off Alexander is now. I was actually thinking about, in a couple of years, my agent said a few of these teams are monitoring me. Maybe if I want to go, what's going to happen to me? So what they sometimes do is go, right, let's cash in. Begrudgingly, we cash in. We take that money, we reinvest it. But what it shows the players is there is an exit if you want one, if you need one. It keeps players motivated. Sophie here says, if Newcastle get 100+ million, sorry, let me just scroll back up. I'm missing that. That's disappeared. Get Isak, I'd go for Ekitike for Newcastle. He plays the same and would make 40 million profits. It could get Ekitike for 60 million. Well, this is it. There are options, and that's why they may want to move quickly with this if and when these conversations with Isak start. Their view may very well be, well, look, Ekitike is available, Gyokeres is available, this player is available, that player is available. It may very well be a case of, well, if we get this deal wrapped up quickly, we can pounce and maybe convince Ekitike. We can convince Šeško. We can convince Gyokeres, players that are available. What they don't want to do is have it drag on and then it happens. But Gyokeres has joined Arsenal. Šeško's gone to Chelsea. Ekitike's gone to Man United. Mateta has joined Juve. I'm just throwing these out there, spitballing, right? Don't hold me to where I'm saying they're going. And then they go, oh, bloody hell. Equally for Liverpool, they'll want it done quickly for the exact same reason. If it gets late in the window and Newcastle have limited options, then Newcastle may begrudgingly pull the plug again. But they're both well-run clubs, and they'll be sensible about this. They'll be very, very sensible about it, in my personal opinion. Do me a favor, please, ladies and gentlemen, and get that like button smashed if you haven't done so already. Really important to the terrace that you get that done right now. Let's get the likes up on this show, even if you're unhappy with the news, because it's not my fault. I don't make the news. In relation to Gyokeres, I want to give you guys an update from Fabrizio and Gyokeres as well. Really, really important. We'll also play the Ben Jacobs clip as well for everybody else that's tuned in so you guys can see it. But this is an update on Gyokeres, which I think is really, really interesting. Plus, he hasn't quite changed his agent, but he's now got Jorge Mendes involved with his exit, which normally means one thing. Let's take a little listen to this here from Fabrizio.
Look, I don't think Gyokeres said no to Man United. I think Gyokeres, from what I heard, told, obviously, his agents told to Manchester United that the priority is Arsenal, which is different because, obviously, if you say no is one point. If you say my priority is another club, could mean that maybe in a few weeks the situation could change. But at the moment, what I can tell you is that for Gyokeres, the most important part of the story is to understand the final price. Because we know there is this battle between the agents and Sporting, and one thing is to sign the player for 60 million euros, another thing is to sign the player for 80. So the price is going to be an important point to see how this war will end between the agents and Sporting. So that's why Arsenal are still working on the Gyokeres deal, but waiting to see what happens in terms of pricing. For Benjamin Šeško, there were reports this morning.
Sorry about that. I didn't actually, people sent me these video clips. I don't know what happened at the end there. They obviously did a screenshot. So what I thought was really interesting about this update is, again, reiterating again and again and again and again and again that Gyokeres hasn't rejected Man United. Now, I'm not precious about that news. I'm not. It can be called a rejection. It can be called prioritizing. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it because I'm a 39-year-old man. Okay. I'm not going to cry. But what I think is really interesting about this is, why are Arsenal waiting? Why are Arsenal waiting? And maybe we've kind of been given our answer today. Maybe, again, Arsenal have also slowed things down and no one's thought about this option because their number one target for the number 9 is Isak. Now, I know you're all going to jump in and go, no way he picks Arsenal over Liverpool. Probably not. But Arsenal are still potentially better off waiting just to see whether he's open to leaving. Maybe they can convince him. Maybe he's had a long-standing desire to join them. By the way, I think he picks Liverpool. That's my personal feeling, but I'm just being objective. It needs to be done. But the Gyokeres situation has also taken an interesting turn because Jorge Mendes, who is one of the world's super agents, has now got involved in the deal. Interestingly, he's also now representing Emi Martinez, who's another Manchester United target. And we'll give you an update on that a little bit later in the show. So I'm very intrigued now to see what happens in relation to this deal with Viktor Gyökeres. Obviously, Jorge Mendes is getting involved to help. He has phenomenal relationships with Sporting Lisbon, trying to smooth this deal over, because the one thing that's still holding up any real move for Gyokeres is there's still a lot of murmurings that there isn't a full and frank agreement about how much Sporting will let him go for. And I think for me, this is something that's really important to have resolved. Where Arsenal have now got to be careful, and you may argue that, so again, Liverpool have been mildly linked to Gyokeres, mildly linked to Šeško, mildly linked to Ekitike, and they may still end up making a move for those players. But this is why Arsenal now have got to start getting a move on. So again, my mind changes as the news changes. I'm not someone who just moans about things or criticizes things because of what might happen. I'm a bit more, I'm not as, but you could argue that's being proactive in just get it done now. Sometimes you can wait, and sometimes you need to act and move, and you need to get that balance right in a sales process. So, I've put pitches into businesses before, into MDs before, into companies, and you're like, look, I really want to chase up what's going on. But if you look pushy, you might look desperate. And if you look desperate, you might put someone off. I might go, oof, why are they so desperate? They've got problems. They've got financial issues. What's going on here? Do I really want to work with them? There are times where if you're not pushy enough, it's seen as you're not that interested. But every case is different. Again, if you've never done sales, you may not understand that. But it's the truth. But I think Arsenal have to increase their speed now when it comes to trying to buy a striker. I think they've got to do it. It's imperative. Absolutely imperative that they do it, in my very, very humble opinion. Because let's say Liverpool don't get Isak. They're then going to pivot straight to somebody else. Now, it could be Ekitike, which doesn't damage them. But it could be Šeško, it could be Gyokeres, because they've been loosely linked to all those players. In fact, it was only 10 days ago, they were seen as maybe a bit longer than that now, the favourites to sign Gyokeres. So Arsenal have got to make their mind up, in my opinion. Now, they may be waiting, as I've mentioned, to see if Isak is open to leaving Newcastle. They may put in a little bit of a charm offensive. If they get told no, it will be Liverpool or staying at Newcastle, they'll move on. But what they need to get to is a resolution, because, again, let's say Liverpool do get Isak, then Newcastle are coming into the market to buy a striker. It's still going to take at least 2 to 3 weeks probably to finalize that Newcastle deal if it moved really quickly. So if it got done really quick, you're still probably looking at 2 to 3 weeks. In that time, what else is going to have happened? Arsenal can't be affording for the striker options to suddenly start becoming like their left midfield options or left wing options, with 1 or 2 of those options being taken away. I think they have to act quicker now in this space. And I don't expect to see anything because I've got no inside information. But Arsenal fans should want to see a here we go relatively quickly now when it comes to the striker market, or at the very least, them dedicating to a player, focusing on those negotiations and moving some things on. As a Man United fan, I also want this to happen because we will be dragging our heels until we find out what's happening with Gyokeres. And I don't want that to go on too long because Ekitike may be taken by Liverpool if Isak and Newcastle say no. He could be taken by Newcastle if they say yes. So again, our options become more limited in this market. So Liverpool adding a real interesting dichotomy, dynamic, and difference now to the transfer window, which is going to be very, very interesting indeed. But look, people, I'm going to go to some more of your comments because I want to know what you all think in relation to these stories. Let's go to some of your comments, some of your super chats that have come in so far. We'll get them up on the screen for you. By the way, we need more likes, people. Let's get at least 1,000 while we're live, please. Let's do it. Ali here. Hope you're well, eye test here. He says, Terry, re-upload my Isak video, man. I supported this channel from the start. I was there when the channel was named United Terrace or something like that. How do you do that to me? I told you why, my friend, and I appreciate the support. But you do this thing of like mocking people, me or KJ or other members, when you get things right, and you don't show up for things that you got wrong. And I did it as a lesson to say, like, two can play at that game, can't they? Like I said, start shouting about your L's. Come on here and be like, bruv, I got to tell. Like, as an example, you never phone up or never post a video again. Do you know what, Terry? You were so right about your Havertz claim. You were so right when you said this would happen when he goes to Real Madrid, etc., etc. You ignored that. So again, either you don't need to gloat when you get things right because it's a bit icky, and we all get things right, we all get things wrong, and it was just a little bit of banter back at you, like you were giving me banter. But come on now, my bro. Fair's fair, right? If you can do it, I can do it. Yo, Terry, I super chatted earlier saying Barca is more watched in La Liga than Madrid. Sorry, this thing keeps moving. My apologies. Only for Hussam to say it was bullshit. It actually facts, but you can Google it many years in a row now. Fair play. Like, I'll have a little look. I mean, I don't know, but I appreciate that. I appreciate you letting us know that, my friend. Terry is turning out to be a very intriguing window, and it's only June. It has, and part of the reason for this window being so intriguing is the mini window for the Club World Cup. So yes, Liverpool have moved very quickly and they're being praised for it. But Gyökeres isn't actually done yet. Frimpong's over the line. Vert's only happened quickly because City wanted him, and City were pushing to get it done before the World Club Cup. And Bayern were pushing to get it done before the World Club Cup. So Liverpool's hand was kind of forced to do that early. City have only got their job that they're done early because they want to win the Club World Cup, and they were never going to do it without reinforcements. So again, say Arsenal were in it, say Man United were in it, I think we'd have got another deal or two done quickly as well, to be fair. But what it's done with a lot of these quick deals, and the fact that we know these clubs are also later in, because I think there's a re-registration where later in the tournament you could add more players, it's going to push for some deals to be done quickly. And I also think what the Liverpools are looking at, and this is why Arsenal have got to start to speed up too, is Liverpool and Arsenal in terms of the title race are going to have an advantage over Chelsea and City. And I am putting Chelsea into that conversation because that must be their aim going into the fourth year of their rebuild. 1 billion spent. Has to be an aim to challenge for the league title. Not win it, but challenge. The advantage Liverpool and Arsenal have got respectively is they're going to have a full pre-season with rested squads. But the other two are going to have basically no pre-season because of the Club World Cup, no rest. And I think it really does give an advantage. But yeah, the window's been fantastic so far. A lot of people have not been happy. I'm not going to lie. I'd like a few deals now to get to the sort of here we go completed stage so we can sort of move on and maybe have a few more conversations on the channel and in this brilliant community about how do you think they'll fit in? Where will they play? Will there be any casualties? How, you know, the impact of the player? It's you can have those conversations initially, but you're sort of waiting for, you know, Mbermo to be done and Gyökeres to get over the line and you know, Zubimendi through the door, so you can really move on to others. But I think it's been really good so far. I've enjoyed the conversations. A lot of people, do you know what I find the funniest is the people that do content on transfers who hate transfer news. It's the weirdest thing in the world. You wouldn't do that in any other walk of life. You wouldn't order food you don't like to then moan about not liking it. Why would you do it? And I know people do jobs they don't like because that's life. But as a YouTuber, you can stream about anything. Why are you streaming about transfer news when you hate it? Or making videos about it? It's proper weird, mate. here we go doesn't mean anything. Terry, we're still waiting on Zubimendi. Yeah, look, I get Zubimendi. You want more than a here we go because you've had that already, but we haven't had the here we go on in Burmo. We haven't had it on Gyökeres yet. There's a few other deals. I'd like to see a here we go for 2 or 3 strikers that are linked to clubs now, so that we kind of know what's happening and clubs can move on. Because what happens in these circumstances is clubs wait in the wings. Let's just say, and we have seen it before. Listen, Liverpool are going to get Gyökeres, in my opinion. But I remember when Liverpool were going to sign, what was his name? What was the name of the Lyon player they were going to get? By the way, turned out to not do much in the game. What was his name? You guys in the comment section are going to know. You guys in the comment section are going to remember his name. He's left my mind now. Fekir. Yes, Fekir. And he done his interview being welcome to Liverpool and the deal fell through. And we've still never really been told the reason. Liverpool sources were saying it was a knee problem. Lyon sources were saying it was money. But the point I'm making is that could happen to Gyökeres. Touch wood, it doesn't. I hope there's nothing wrong with his knee or anything like that. But say that happened there. There might be a couple of teams that are looking at fullbacks that suddenly go, well, we're going to wait. Just wait and make sure it goes through before we execute. Because things do fall through for one reason or another. About 2 days before the World Club Cup, we all thought Osimhen was going El Hilal. And then madly, it fell through after we thought it was going to go through. These things happen. So as much as, that's why I say, like, when you get the here we go and the done deals announced, they don't always complete. But that's why I want some of them to get over the line, to be completed, because you've probably got teams waiting in the wings. Oh, what if Zubimendi does change his mind again? What if Man United walk away from him, Burmo? So Spurs are looking at like Semenyo and others. Semenyo's got 2 or 3 teams looking at him. Maybe Semenyo doesn't want to commit until a couple of clubs commit, but they're not going to commit until Man United actually get Burmo done. So we need a few to end so teams can move on. It has like a bit of a butterfly effect in many ways, a bit of a butterfly effect in that regard. Fekir, he came to Anfield and everything, but they didn't like his attitude, apparently. Yeah, again, I've never heard that version, but yeah, no one. Yes, I heard dodgy knee, which is what this alludes to. But yeah, there were definitely a number of things that were being said. Article Independent said we can spend 400 million, no problem. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because you barely spent last year, and even then, you're going to raise money this summer. I think you're going to probably bring in 150 million pounds worth of sales, which is going to, again, from a turnover perspective, is going to reduce the losses in the singular year. And the losses that you suffer are over a 3-year rolling period. So, yeah, you guys are absolutely fine. Suloff rumored to Man United in Norway media. Listen, I like the look. I know I had a bad miss the other day, but I like him. And look, United are linked to Man United are probably doing a bit of a European stop right now, trying to, looking at all different types of strikers and players that are potentially available. And I get why, because you've got to do that. What was breaking news tonight is in relation to Emi Martinez. I wanted to read this out to you, actually. It says here that Emi Martinez has made it clear he is interested in a move to Manchester United this summer. So that's a deal that United can get done. Now, again, United fans obviously react quite badly to this with, but we said we're keeping Onana, he's not going to go. I think Fabrizio turned around and said, what did Fabrizio say? He said here that Man United remain, nope. Where's it gone? I bookmarked it and now I've lost it. Maybe I didn't bookmark it. But he basically, so Ben Jacobs on the same show as him said, Emi Martinez has made it clear that he's interested in completing a move to Manchester United. Aston Villa have refused to rule out granting his wish. It could take close to 40 million. United may not have the final call. Man United have not made a final call on replacing Onana. Fabrizio has said that the United again. Fabrizio said something similar, and I need to go. When you suddenly need to find it again. Like he wrote something, and now I've lost what he said. Let me just go find what he said because it was different to Ben Jacobs in some areas, but then the same in others. I think more people are sharing Fabrizio's Ben Jacobs because it sounds more positive, and it's not always right to do that. Let me just find this news now. It's being buried by the Jacobs news, and I think it's important to listen to it. No, can't find it. Can't find it. Let me just go to one of the aggregators because it must be the aggregators must have put this out. They must have shared it. No, it's just Ben Jacobs are sharing. Why just Ben Jacobs? Come on. Well, that's frustrating because I read it. I just didn't bloody bookmark it. Sorry, peeps. I'm trying to find it. But I feel like the aggregators have deleted it just to put out the more positive news, which is fine. But I think it's important to put it all out there. Hopefully it's... No. They've all deleted it, which is annoying. But yeah, it's basically saying that United haven't decided on what they're doing with Onana yet. I don't necessarily believe that's true. I think Man United have decided. I think it's about trying to find a club. But I think what Man United are briefing the media is we haven't decided yet because they don't want to make it sound like he's surplus to requirements. Villa's situation is very different. They've got financial difficulties as to why they're not potentially able to keep that player. I'm just going to search Fabrizio's with the name Martinez because that will probably find what I'm looking for because somebody must have shared it and kept it up because it's just important to share it for the full. Well, that's also what he's confirmed that it was Fabrizio that confirmed that Jorge Mendes is now his agent, which I think is really significant. But he said, here it is. It's Emi Martinez has made it clear he's interested. No, that's still the Ben Jacobs one. For God's sakes, why has everybody deleted what they said about Fabrizio? It's annoying from what Fabrizio said. It's fucking annoying me now. No, where's it gone? They've kept up the news that he's changed his agent by Fabrizio, but none of them are sharing this one. That's very disingenuous of them. Where's it gone? I'm actually going to lose my temper in a minute because I saw it. Why didn't I bookmark it? My word. I'm actually like fuming. I'm fuming with myself because I now can't find it. And I definitely read it. I think the aggregators have deleted their tweets, you know. Aston Villa have told Manchester United they're keen to sell. Sorry, Aston Villa. This is what Fabrizio said. Man United have told Aston Villa they're keen to sell Martinez for 40 million, despite the goalkeeper has made it clear he wants United. But United are still considering. Yes, United are still considering whether Onana stays or leaves. I just don't believe we're considering it. I believe we want him to leave and fight, but we need to find a better goalie. We need to be able to afford it. So that's what he said. I got there in the end, people. But I really wanted to share it because it was slightly different from Ben Jacobs. And I think it's really important to present both sides of that story. But it certainly feels that Emi Martinez to Manchester United is beginning to heat up a little bit. Villa are open to selling him to raise money. The player would like to join Manchester United. And that's a really important part of a deal. It's very, very important. It's a very, very important part of the deal. This year says, as a Liverpool fan, I can't help but feel sorry for the Geordie boys. All this news surrounding the jewel in the crown of a great team used to do my nutting when it was Gerrard, Suarez, and Salah. And so I don't feel sorry for them. It's one of the impacts of becoming a better team, and you've just got to learn to deal with it at the end of the day. You just have. You know, I remember a good friend of mine. I'm sorry to use language that probably isn't acceptable anymore, but he pulled a lovely lady. She loved him to bits. She was, in nearly every way imaginable, stunning and lovely lady. You know, me and all these friends, we got really well with her. You could all just objectively speaking, she's beautiful, in great shape, looked after herself. And I remember him always moaning. He's the problem is we go out and she just gets attention and people look at her and da-da-da-da-da-da. I was like, mate, well, listen, if you're going to be with someone that is beautiful, people are going to look. You've just got to learn to not be so insecure and you've got to learn to handle it better because the more you look insecure, the likely is she leaves. They've actually been together now 22 years, married, had kids, everything. And he learned to get over it. But he was very much like, I remember in the beginning, he was so about it. And I was like, yeah, you got to learn to deal with it, my friend. You got to learn to deal with it. I didn't quite say that, Dave. But listen, I'm from an era where that's how people spoke. And this is what's mad. Where I'm from, right, like East London, all the girls now, women that I grew up with, even when I moved to Essex, it was the same. There was a couple that weren't like it. But they now, if I'm if I'm like, I see my old school friends, and we're all with different years at school, but we all range from about 38 to early mid 40s. And you'll often hear, "Oh, you seen Wilson?" Girls will say this. You seen Wilson recently? No, yeah, he's got a new bird now. Women say it as well. It's mad how that's become like a really unpopular thing to say. Just everyone, man, woman, old, young, that I grew up around said it, and no one seemed to care. They do now, but I think Arsenal is scary even without transfers. If you believe that, you believe that. You're probably being sarcastic, but there we go. Perhaps the young lad was right last season. There we land. I like that kid. He's great. I will say that the goalkeeper 8-second rule, I like the league's. Listen, I like the 8-second rule. Fantastic. It's one of the rules. I mean, I would be more harsh. I'd give a penalty for time wasted, but I like it. Thank you, Luke, for encouraging everybody to smash that like button. I appreciate that a lot, brother. I really, really do. Hey, yo, Henry, you messaged me earlier. Did you message me back? I'm going to check now. Oh. Yeah, I'll send you my address. Bango's a conspiracy that we're like best buddies around each other's houses all the time. But yeah, I'll send you my address. I'll send it to you in a bit, my friend. Yeah, where's everyone watching from around the world, please? Let me know. Dyke here earlier on said, "Hi, Tel, bro. Kudos to Chelsea news just came out." Where is that? I haven't seen it. And we'll touch on that probably more on the morning show. Got quite a few things in the morning I want to talk about, but what I try to do is stagger it over the day, mainly because if I do like 5 or 6 stories on one of these shows, I can't really touch on them all properly because I want to go to your comments because you guys are more important. But I haven't seen that news. Who's it from, Dyke? Let me know, brother, because I haven't seen it. Oh, hang on. Chelsea have held further talk with West Ham over Mohamed Kudus. West Ham wants straight cash. It's from the Guardian. Is it Steinberg? Oh, Steinberg. He's pretty connected when it comes to West Ham and Chelsea. Interesting indeed. We'll be touching on that more. Listen, I said it earlier on. You heard me say it on Straight Facts. If you weren't watching Straight Facts, why? I said it then, I'll say it again. Spurs are linked to this man. Chelsea and Arsenal can't let that happen. As Tottenham's biggest 2 rivals, as teams that need a Mohamed Kudus, I think he's brilliant. And I really do feel like he's become because he's lost the hype, because fans have got a bit bored and they've moved on to other targets and other players that are fashionable, like a new pair of trainers. I think people have forgotten how good this guy is. I know he only got 5 goals last season, 14 the year before that as an example. 18 if you include the goals he scored at Ajax before he joined. 18 goals a year before that. There's a player in here. And I think in the right system at a club that's motivating him, he'd be a brilliant signing. I think he'd be a fantastic signing for Chelsea. I really, really do. Where's everyone watching from tonight? Live from Kenya, London. We've got Dubai. Big up yourself. Mama Flossie in Newcastle, YA. Mawat is in Jamaica. Big up yourself, brother. North London. There's some Dave B. East Africa. Where, though, in East Africa? Let me know where. Watching from Scotland. Big up yourself, Danny boy. Like that, mate. Like that. Where we look at where else are people watching from? Let me know. Man in Texas. We've got New York, Nairobi, Wembley. Oh, listen, I want to go New Orleans so bad. I really want to go to. What's the party called? The big party they do. I want to go there, man. I really want to go. Calgary and Alberta. Big up Canada. It's Canada, right? I said that out loud, thinking I knew, and I panicked. Jamaica, Leicester. Hey, big up Mohammed in Leicester. Love, bro. Where else? Rotterdam. Well, what a place. I love the Netherlands, man. Maryland. Is that Maryland, East London? Or Maryland, America? Probably America. But if you're not from like the Stratford, Leytonstone kind of area, Forest Gate, you probably won't understand where Maryland and East London is, because it's the smallest little part of East London. I don't really know if it's a place. It's just a train station. But there's a little, right at the bottom, when you go down Leytonstone High Road and you get to the bottom before you get into Stratford, you get this little place, and it's just called Maryland. Yeah. There's these cookies. You guys must have had the Maryland cookies, right? You used to buy them as kids when you went to school because they were like 50p for a whole big pack. And I used to think they were made because they were called Maryland. I lived near Maryland. I used to think that's where they were made. Stupid, wasn't I? We've got a man watching in Iceland. Loving that, my friend. Big up in Iceland. Pretoria in South Africa. We've got Imran Mohammed in Somalia. Love, bro. What else we got here? Maryland is dangerous in Leighton. Oi, oi. My G knows. He knows. He knows. Yeah, it's worldwide. Mombasa in Kenya. I'd love to go Kenya as well, actually. It's a place I'd love to go. Got another Kenyan in the house. Loving that. Crepes in Chicago. Maryland cookies are nice, bruv. Actually, they're not. When you get a bit older and get more money, you buy nicer cookies and you go back to Maryland, you realize they're not that great. But that's the thing you can do in life with all things: drink, cars, foods. When you go up a level, I always tell this story up when I was still living in Leytonstone. Me and my wife at the time, we were younger, we didn't have much money, so we'd go out, but we were saving for things and trying to be as sensible as possible. But we'd go to this Chinese restaurant in Leytonstone called Chopsticks, and it was opposite what used to be called Leo's, but Matalan that's there. And it was £5 for all you can eat. And we'd go there at least once a week, and you'd kind of stuff your face and be like, that'll do me for a day or so. And you could also take a little, like, it wasn't a doggy bag, but you could fill up a little Tupperware before you left as well. £5 as well. And you go up as many times as you want. As long as the only rule was whatever you put in your plate, you had to finish it before you could go back. Anyway, like, you get a bit older, you get promotions, you start earning more money, you start eating in nicer places and stuff like that. And then when we moved out of East London, we said, we'll go to Chopsticks the last night and eat there. And it was just not that great. And it was because we'd started eating better foods. And you went back and were like, it really is not great. And I always felt a bit disappointed, but that's life. That's life. Things happen like that. There we go. Chopsticks is so good. Listen, it is. I used to love it. And it's great. It's great value. It's decent food. It was just, I went through that point of like, I started eating better stuff. And then I went in, I was like, and you know what it probably was actually? It was because it was buffet style. So it's different when the Chinese restaurant we'd been eating in, like, they make it fresh for you in there. But this is like just been sitting out, like with a tray over it. So obviously it didn't taste as good as something that's fresh. That's probably all it was. Wine is the worst one to do if you drink. If you drink wine, once you start going up the levels to more expensive ones, it's so hard to go back down the ladder because they're not as good. Vodka's similar. Like, if you drink really expensive vodkas, you don't really get hangovers. It takes longer to get drunk. You go back down to a cheaper one, it's like gruel. It's like, oh my God, what's this I'm drinking? You can almost feel the roughness in it. It's kind of crazy. How do we even get onto this? Chopsticks, Leytonstone. There we go. Brisbane, Australia. Loving that. What else are we saying here? You need to try sheep's head in Iceland. Bruh. I don't know if I could, When it comes to foods, I'll try any country's cuisine. The one thing I struggle with, and this is across the board, if it has food that's alien to me. And what I mean, but I don't mean spices, they're not alien. I'm talking if it's a sheep's head, if it's the foot of an animal, if it's something's tail. Oxtail, we eat oxtail here, soup and stuff, or we have oxtail, but you don't see the tail. Does that make sense? It's like chopped up. That's what I can't get over, is when I see something that's alien to me. So you can get a bit of chicken, and you could, 200 different countries might season it differently and put it with a different type of rice, and I'll try it everywhere. But if you give me that same dish, but then I can see the chicken's feet or its beak, I'm like, I can't do it. It freaks me out, bruv. It freaks me out. I don't know about you, man. Liver. I don't mind a bit of liver. I've eaten a bit of liver before. I've eaten a bit of liver. What the fuck is bro chatting? I'm dyslexic, but your grammar is atrocious. We'll talk about other things because we're having a good time with the community. If you don't like it, get away. Dixie chicken is nice, bruv. Dixie chicken is good, but the best chicken shop in Leytonstone, I hope it's still there, is it's not called Kentucky. Kenzie. It's opposite the Bell pub near the fire station. It is legendary. Agree. I couldn't eat it either. Yeah, do you know what it is? It's just brain. Yes, again, I couldn't eat a brain. If you like chopped it up and put it in something and didn't tell me it was in there, I probably could. But it's once I start thinking about it, If I start thinking about it, but there we go. Look, I want to thank every single person that has tuned into the show this evening. We weren't going to go live tonight, but then I saw the news and I didn't want to wait until the morning. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. It always means a great deal to me that so many of you do, especially when it's quite quiet for news and there's not much going on. But we're back tomorrow morning. We're going to be talking Lewis Skelly. We're going to be talking a big update on Imbermo that's come out. We're going to talk Kudus as well. I'm going to read some more about that news and maybe some new things will break. I want to thank you all for tuning in. It always means a great deal to me. Go check out, though, my new channel and go and subscribe to it, Terry Flewis TV. We'll be releasing daily football videos on there, just where there isn't the room to put things out, opinion pieces, and more. It's more of an opinion piece channel, as we're doing a lot more live streams and call-in shows now on the Football Terrace. I'm bringing them back, so the opinion stuff is just going to move to a different platform. Because YouTube doesn't like it to. Basically, if you release more than 3 videos in a day, you don't get notifications sent to anybody. So I want you guys to know when we put out content. So we're putting it there. So go check it out. If you click on the homepage of our channel now, you can see it linked there. It's Terry Flewis TV. Got a couple of videos out. We have got a City and Liverpool one recorded, but I might now redo the Liverpool one with this Isak news dropping on there soon as well. But listen, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.